Welcome back, Buddha family. So today I'm going to show you how to propagate. Propagate is a super easy thing to do. It's fun, and it also helps with a lot of plants. Here I have my Iracine chicken gizzard red. Beautiful house plant, beautiful shade plant, but as you can see, it just grows and it's too big. So when I want to bring this in, I'm going to take some propagation cuttings, give them away to friends, have more plants, sell them, whatever you want to do, and also keep this plant in check. So it's very easy to do. So here we're going to go step by step. So first you want to get some potting mix and some cells, whatever you use. Little pots, they don't have to be big. Here I have little like plastic inserts. They'll sell at stands and things in the spring, and they work really well. So you don't need a big amount. So first thing you want to do is fill it up with some potting soil. So now that we got our cells filled with the potting mix, we need some rooting hormone. And what that does is when you take a cutting from a plant, it no longer has roots to feed it. So this rooting powder will help promote root growth quickly, and that way the plant has a better chance of survival. Very cheap stuff. You can get it on Amazon, some of the big box stores. So we got our rooting hormone. Now we got our clippers. So what we're going to want to do is go around to these growth points you see here. And as I follow the stem down on this plant, at every leaf joint, there's 2 more growth points coming out. So I'm going to go down to one of those and cut right above it. And that way, when I snip it, I'll have 2 more to take over. And then those will grow. In a few weeks, I might be able to cut them. So here, we'll take this one. It's the easiest, and it's first. So I'm going to zoom in. You can see here's 2 of the offshoots. So I'm going to go right above them and clip it. And you don't want your cutting to be huge. It doesn't have to be. So 3-4 inches is good. Here we have it. And now I don't need these leaves or on these joints, the growth points on these joints. So I'm just going to snip them off. I only need 1 growth point. So here we have our cutting. Now I'm just going to take my clippers and make a diagonal 45 cutting. And what that does is it just exposes a little bit more of the stem. Take my rooting powder, just going to dip this in there. You can see I got it nice and covered. Now all I do is take this, stick it right into the cell. Pretty easy, but let's go over it again. I'm going to try and zoom in so you get a little bit of a closer look. So here I'm going to do this one right here. So you can see at every leaf joint is the 2 new growths, but this is a little short, so I'm going to go down to this one and snip it right here. Here you can see I have the 2 new growth points. On this one, here's the cutting. I'm going to try and do it close so you can see my 2 growth points, but I don't want them on the cutting. So I'm going to snip these off with the leaf. And there you have it. Ready. Now I have a flat cut, so I'm going to make a 45, just like that. Got my rooting hormone. So let's dip it in there. See, it's covered it nicely. Now I'm just going to put it over and plant it. And here we have the one I just did. I'm going to stick it right into the soil. So I'm going to get to it, check it out, watch it, and then I'll get to the next step. Another really cool thing is I'm going to snip this off so that you can kind of get a better feel for what it looks like. But if you look at this one, you can see right here I had already taken a clipping and I have 2 new growth points. So I can treat these growth points like they're actually 1. So what I can do is snip it down here. And now each one has 2 growth points, so I can make 2 cuttings out of this, even though the top was already taken. And if you want, you can always snip one of the growth points off, and that way you just have 1. But I like to leave 2, and that kind of leaves it a little bit bushier. Another thing that's very cool with these is sometimes if you let the side shoots grow, they grow all the way down the stem. Here you can see one. It's big enough in itself to make a cutting without even affecting the main stem. All right, that looks like it's enough for now. This is about 30 of them, 30 cuttings. And so however many you do, you're probably not going to do 30. You're probably going to do a few. But now, they have the rooting hormone. They're cut. They're in this soil. But there's no roots to grow. So how do we get the roots in the plant to really get established? It's all about humidity. Because right now, the only way the plant can absorb water is through the leaves. So we want to keep it as humid as possible. If you're doing a single container, people will use a plastic bag or a Tupperware container to put it over and kind of create this greenhouse humid environment, which works really well. Just keep in mind that if you don't want to put it right near a sunny window because then it can actually get too hot. So in this case, I have a tray and then I use this humidity dome, just a clear plastic dome. So first thing I do, with a spritzer, I'll go spritz all the plants, make sure all the leaves are nice and wet. Now that I got the leaves nice and wet, I'm going to go through with a little bit of the water and just make sure the soil is a little moist. It does not have to be soaking wet because there's no roots and you don't want it to be soaking wet. You just want it to have a little moisture to it. So now that the leaves are wet and the soil is moist, why does the soil need to be moist if there's no roots? Well, there's no roots, but there will be. So what you want is the soil moisture to be there so when the plant starts to send out its first roots, there's water available to absorb and the plant's just going to take off. So now soil moist, leaves are moist. Now I'll take my humidity dome and I'll spritz the inside of this. Now that's got a lot of water in it. It's completely covered with water droplets. And now I just take it, I'm going to slip it right over my tray. And now I've created my own basic humidity dome propagation area. Now I'm going to bring this inside because it's too cold out. You want it to be warm when you're doing this. So anywhere in your house is going to be fine, or if it's in the spring or summer and it's 70 degrees out, it's fine too. You want to keep them out of direct sunlight, but relatively close to an indirect light, window, things like that. And I'll just check this daily, make sure it's nice and moist. Basically every day I'll kind of lift this up. I'll spritz these leaves if they need it. I'll spritz the inside. Put it in. Now I'm going to bring this inside and we'll check in a few weeks and we should have some roots. So lucky for you, I did some a few weeks ago. So let's go inside and see what they look like.
So here we are, 2 weeks later. So I'm going to bring these out, pop this off so you can see what we're looking at. We should be ready to plant.
All right, so let's take a look. Here we are. We're going to remove the humidity dome. They're all standing upright, so that's a good sign. Now I can see well roots. Bring these in closer so you can see how healthy these are. They look like they all rooted. Heck, you can tell here if I bring these in. Look right there. Even have some aerial roots coming out. Not a big deal, but that just shows you how well the humidity did inside there. There's a bunch more. Oh, can't see it, the leaf. There you go, there's a bunch more aerial roots right there. I'm gonna pop some out so you can see the root growth. There you go. So you can see it really hasn't quite root bound it yet, but you can see they've reached the bottom. And there's some more popping out. So these are good to go and be planted. Like that, they all look healthy. Standing up is a good sign. That means they're not wilted with lack of water or roots. Shows that they've really taken. See all those roots right there. Now I'm just gonna get my pots and start planting them up. And if you remember, this was my mother plant. You can see it's already rebounded. Doesn't even look like I took any cuttings off of it. And here we are with 30 new plants off of one. This is why I love this plant. So now you can just rinse and repeat. Keep doing this. Give these out as gifts. I'm going to sell them, so that's why I have it. But Aerosine is a wonderful house plant. So easy to propagate. Get your feet wet. Enjoy it. Have some fun. Create some new babies, friends, the environment. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you around. Happy propagating.